What's up, guys? Neil Orfield here to talk a little Sorare NBA and the tools we have at Stokastic for Sorare. While you're coming in, please do like the video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and hit that notification button so you can get alerts when our shows go live. Stokastic is excited to be an authorized partner of Sorare, and one of the first places you will find a bonus offer for Sorare NBA. Sign up for a new Sorare NBA account using our link, and you'll get one free limited card after completing your first 5 card purchases on the primary market. Limited cards are typically purchased in the marketplace or won as rewards for high placement in tournaments and help unlock the ability to participate in different tournaments. Getting a free limited card is a massive perk for signing up. The limited cards are one of 5,000 and tracked on the Ethereum blockchain, so you'll always know exactly how many cards are in circulation. In addition to getting a free limited card by signing up through Stokastic, you can also find great Sorare projections on Stokastic. That's what I want to talk about in this video, is our Sorare projections at Stokastic and how I am using them. But before we get into that, just a quick explanation of how Sorare works. So when you enter Sorare tournaments, you have to create lineups. In different tournaments, you have different points caps. And points caps essentially work as the salary cap on Sorare. So the tournaments that I've entered, most of the ones I've seen have a points cap of 110 to 120 points. And every player is given a 10-game average, which counts as essentially their points. It's basically their salary in the contest is how I would describe it. And their salary, their points cap, is just their 10-game average, how many fantasy points they have scored per game over the past 10 games. So we're trying to, make lineups that fit within that 110 or 120 points cap, each player having a different cap. In these tournaments, there is also, most of them have an MVP spot, which is one player who you enter. Whoever has the highest points cap is automatically put in your MVP spot. That player, their 10-game average is not counted against the salary cap. So you're choosing one player that you get to have in your lineup for free, not counted against the points cap. And then the other 4 players that you put into your lineup have to fit under 110 or 120 points. Those points, of course, being the player's 10-game average for their most recent 10 games. You can read about this on your own. It gets a little bit in depth for players who haven't yet played 10 games, who sometimes you have to go back into the previous year, et cetera, et cetera. So you can read about this on your own, but the roster is essentially you pick 5 players. One of them, in most tournaments at least, is going to be your MVP, who does not count against the points cap. The other 4 are counting against your points cap. You have to keep them under 110 to 120 points. You can find all of this nbaguide.sorare.com. We'll show you, go to how to play, and you can read up on all of the different rules for playing in Sorare, the scoring system, etc., etc. Tournaments typically go Monday through Thursday and then Friday through Sunday. And I entered a tournament for this past Friday. Yesterday was the first games of the tournament. It'll go through Sunday. So I actually made a lineup to enter in the contest, which I will show you. But I want to show you our projections at Stokastic, what everything means, and where you can find them. So starting here, Stokastic homepage, go to NBA, free NBA DFS data, Sorare NBA projections. Pretty straightforward there. So this is where you will find our projections. These projections are for the Friday through Sunday contest. We'll have new projections up on Monday for the Monday through Thursday contest. But these are the projections that I used to make my lineup for this weekend. And I'll tell you what each column means. So obviously player, that's the player name. Projection, that is our projection. I did talk to Alex Baker, who made these projections for us. The projection is our projection for that player in their best game in the period. So as you can see, some players, we can see this in the column over here. This is the number of games the player has, their team is playing in the given period of the tournament. So some players, Chris Middleton, Jonathan Isaac, most of these players have 2 games in this period. And I should note that you don't get points for both of those games for your players in the tournament. You only get their best game in the period. So sometimes you might have 3 games and you get to choose, their best game from that period will be automatically put into your lineup. A player like Nasir Little here only has 1 game, so it's just going to be his best game in the period. His only game in that period is going to be how many points he gets for the tournament. But guys like Middleton, Isaac, TJ McConnell, anybody with 2 or more games, you just get their best game from that period. So that is worth noting. There's definitely some advantage to having a player who has 2 games, more chance to spike an upside there. But the projection, Alex tells me, is not just for their first game; it is for their best game during the period. So sometimes a team will have, a tough matchup in the first game, and then a better matchup for the second game. It will be their projection for that second game, which is pretty nice to have. And I don't think you can find that kind of projection anywhere else. So this is definitely a column that is worth monitoring. The last 10 average, so that is going to be essentially the player's salary. So as I said, their last 10 games, that's what's used to determine their points to get under the points cap. So for example, Chris Middleton in his past 10 games has averaged 23 fantasy points in those games. So that is going to be his points to fit under that 110 to 120 points cap. And then value, as you can see, is just as simple: projection minus the last 10 average. So as you can see, Chris Middleton, we have projected for over 35 fantasy points in this contest. He has a last 10 average of 23. So obviously he is a great value, somebody that is gonna help you make a really nice lineup that fits under that points cap. And you can sort by value, as I have it here. Nasir Little being the best value on the slate. His last 10 average is 11, but due to some injuries for Portland, Nasir Little should be getting a little bit of extra playing time, a little bit of extra usage, and he is a great value for this weekend's contest. And you can see these are all of our best values here. Jonathan Isaac has a last 10 average of 0, and then his projection is 12.56. So any fantasy points he gets, you're basically getting him in there for free. So he's a nice value. TJ McConnell, a great value, etc. I mean, you can read down the list. These are all of our best values. I have it sorted by value. So these are just the players who project better than their points cap would suggest. These are guys who are going to want to get into your lineups to make a really nice high upside lineup. These 3 columns, the L7 Limited, L7 Rare, and L7 Elite, refer to the prices of the cards. So for example, Nasir Little, his last 10 sales of Nasir Little limited cards have gone for $8.74. Last 7 rare, $72.32. I should double check that it's not actually pounds. It's pretty close at this point either way, but on the site they do use pounds in a lot of places, but I believe this is dollars. So I believe the last 7 average for Nasir Little, $8.74 for a limited card, $72.32 for a rare card, and then Elite $465.98. So that is just the prices generally that have been for these cards recently. Of course, the prices are always changing, so not something that you can really count on these, but just gives you an idea of what it's generally going to cost to get these player cards if you want to get them into a lineup. So as I said, I use these projections to create a lineup for this weekend's contest, which I will show you here. So this is the lineup that I created. So Giannis Antetokounmpo, I put into my lineup. He's my MVP spot. If you just sort by projection, he was the top projected player on the slate, so it made sense to throw him in there. Generally, you're going to want one of the top projected players in that MVP spot because they don't count against your salary cap. They're obviously the guys who are likely to score the most points. So I just went out, got myself a Giannis to throw into that lineup. I also went out right away and got a Ant Edwards. He is my favorite player in the NBA, so that factored into it for me. But then also just looking at his projection relative to his last 10 average, he is a great value for a relatively expensive player, a player who projects well, still has a lot of juice on that bone with that 40-point last 10 average. So I wanted to get an Ant in my lineup right away. I then went and added a couple of value plays. So Nasir Little, you can see, is our best value on the board. Figured I'd get one of those right away. So I threw a Nasir Little into the lineup. TJ McConnell also just looked like a great value relative to his last 10 average. So I threw him in there. And then at that point, I had exactly 41 left over. So I sorted by last 10 average to see who I might be able to get around 41 and who was a good value there. And that is how I came up with Pascal Siakam. Just looking through players who cost 41, Pascal Siakam had a very nice value score. So I went and threw him in the lineup as well. Currently, after one day, this is not particularly meaningful, but after one day in 127th place out of 8,600 entries. Nasir Little has not played yet, but 4 of my 5 players have gone already, so not all that meaningful. A lot of teams out there haven't had any of their players go yet, or that many. We only had 5 games on Friday night, so not very meaningful, but off to a nice start with Giannis scoring 74, Ant scored 48, McConnell scored 47. It was a great value. Siakam, a little bit of a letdown, but as you can see here, all 5 of my players have 1 game left. Little hasn't played at all. He has just 1 game in the period, but maybe I can get a little bit more juice out of Siakam. And of course, if I can get more out of Giannis, Ant, or McConnell, I will take that, hoping to move up the tournament. Obviously, no guarantees, plenty of games left to be played tonight and tomorrow, but fun to be doing well pretty early on. I think it shows just the value of having projections. I think a lot of people in these contests don't have projections, so they're kind of going in blind or just entering what cards they have. So if I stay in 127th place, you can see, so here's the leaderboard. I'm a bit behind the first place player. He has had all of his players go already, of course, but I don't think I can make up 60 points with Nasir Little, so I'm a little bit behind the ball there. I'll need somebody else to maybe pick up a few more points on what I have so far. But you can see, looking at the prize pool, if I stay in 126th, I'm going to get a free rare card. That would be pretty exciting for me. I don't have any rare cards currently, so that would be a nice prize if I can manage to stay in that top 150. Honestly, I'm not sure that I'm going to be able to, but hopefully I can stay up here somewhere and get some nice card for playing in this contest. Anyway, it was fun. Just that's the first time I've entered a tournament, and I put in just players who projected well in the Stokastic projections, either just raw projection for that MVP spot for Giannis, and then generally just looking at some of the top values where I found Nasir Little, TJ McConnell, Ant, and then Pascal Siakam not far down here either. Here he is. So yeah, four players who are among the better value plays, and then Giannis, you don't really have to worry about the value on your MVP. Of course, I did have actually some nice value on Giannis as well. So pretty easy to use these Stokastic Sorare NBA projections to make a nice lineup. I'm off to a good start. We'll see if I end up winning anything for this tournament, but yeah, pretty happy with this start here. So anyway, that's it. That's my short video showing you how to use these Stokastic Sorare projections. I don't think you can find any projections with this much info anywhere else out there. Maybe there is, but I think we've got some great projections and they are free. So check them out, and maybe you can make a nice Sorare lineup starting on Monday or one of these future weeks. So anyway, good luck. See you out there.